Alright. Well, we're going to get started here. I'd like to introduce myself again. I'm probably a familiar face to many of you. If not, I'm Taneeka Staples with Milwaukee Tools. I cover all of IPS. And today we are going to look at new products. Some of these you may have seen. And I also want to give you a heads up that we will have a massive tool launch with the hand tools, accessories, power tools in June as well. So you will be getting new product rollouts after today once we formally release everything that's new. So for starters, as you know, Milwaukee focuses on the trades. Everything we do now is, anybody want to take a guess? Cordless. We have a focus of constantly growing our cordless tools. There's some tools here that you may not have seen before, such as our drain cleaning equipment. During the last session, we looked into the M12 drain snake. But now we've recently launched 2 new items that are geared towards urinals and toilets. So I'm going to get right into this. Alrighty. So first we have the M12. The cool thing, well, this is right now I'm holding the urinal auger. The cool thing about this is that our tools you can literally customize. So I can easily transform this into a manual tool. Okay. So I have an M12 driver in my hand. Milwaukee's the only company that has an interchangeable auger system. So you can either get a handle, as you can see on one of the pictures, and lock that right into place, and it locks just right as if it were on one of our M12 screwdrivers or M12 impact drivers. So it just pull and release in, it locks right in. During the initial setup, we actually give you directions on how to use it, because by this being one of the newer tools, it can be a little confusing up front, but it really is pretty simple. So right now I have this cable locked into place. In order to lock the cable, you feed out the length that you need. So on the urinal, this is a 4-foot cable. On the toilet system, the toilet auger system, it's a 6-foot cable. The heads are actually, the diameter is a little different than the M12 drain snake. So the drain snake cable was 5/16 and 1/4 inch. These are 1/2 inch and 3/8. So different cables needed for the auger systems. So once and the directions are pretty clearly stated, but there's a red line. I don't know if you guys can see from the camera, but my live audience, there's a red line here. So all you have to do is make sure this red line is right above this upper grip. And then you take the lower handle and it locks right into place. So at that point, depending on which driver system you have, if you have the M12 unit, you'll just hit the trigger and it'll drain out any clogs or anything. And if you have the manual, it works just like the more common manual systems on the market. The cool thing is this is at a really good price point. You guys looking at the screen, it may be a little blurry, but I can send out the electronic version of this. The manual system retails right around between $100 and $119, and then the cordless
Thanks for holding. Here at
retails
Industrial
right around $200.
We believe you deserve the best service possible. The next available customer service representative will gladly take your call.
Put them on hold.
Alright, I'm just gonna. So, as I was saying, this is the only interchangeable auger system on the market. So you can pretty much build up what you need. So you can start with the 4-inch, the urinal base, or the 6-inch toilet auger base, and then determine your power source from there. Of course, this runs off of the M12 system, so this battery is compatible with all our other M12 tools. So that's one unique thing that Milwaukee has done well. So anytime we launch new products, we make sure that it's consistent with all the batteries that are already on the market, because that can lead up to tons of user frustration when they have to reset batteries to add new tools into their arsenal. And one unique feature I would like to point out for the toilet, we actually have a little boot here at the end of the cable. So this pretty much protects the porcelain. So we don't want to, have any contractors go in for any residential calls and just to get a plug out and then the inside of the toilet's damaged or broken, worst case scenario. Alright, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit. Did anybody have any questions on the auger systems? Okay. And you can, and they're sold, you can either choose each tool individually or we do have part numbers where you can get both manual, the toilet, and the urinal as one set. And this is actually one set. So you get both and the power source for each tool, and you can just switch it out depending on which tool you're using at the moment. Alright, now looking into the M18 transfer pump. The coolest thing, so as you know with Milwaukee Tools, we are constantly designing cordless tools that will either replace or displace corded tools in the market. And we look for new opportunities where we can develop tools that save users or contractors a lot of time so they can be in and off of projects. So this is the transfer pump. This is only for water transfer. So the cool thing about this is that this runs off of the M18 battery system. It actually protects, so the way it's designed.
We hung up on them because we couldn't.
Hung up audibly, they can still see for go-to meetings, so they're
Okay.
I told Clinton, since that's a larger group, Clinton's got,
Who?
he's gonna call in, so
Okay.
he'll just listen there. All of the remote branches can listen in on session 2. Okay guys, you can listen.
Alright, sorry about that.
Williamsport.
We're jumping back in at the transfer pump, which is an M18 tool only designed to transfer water. That once you install the battery, it has a waterproof compartment, so just make sure that you still have the durability with the battery as well as the power tool. Because working with plumbers, their biggest concern is, are my tools waterproof? We get that a lot with sawzalls, bandsaws. So this just guarantees that this battery will be protected while it's in this tool. This is actually a lot quicker than corded. So you can do a 50-gallon tank in less than 7 minutes. So, and the cool thing about this is that once it's done pumping, it has an auto shut-off, so it doesn't damage the pump that's in the transfer, well, in the unit. So if it senses after, I believe it's between 30 seconds to a minute, if it's dry pumping, it'll automatically shut itself off. That helps prolong the lifetime of the tool, the battery, pretty much everything. There is no priming required for this, so users, when they just pop a battery in, hit the power button, and they are ready to go. Of course, they would just check the battery life just to make sure that they are, but the unit itself is ready to go, so no priming. So this goes back again to Milwaukee constantly designing tools that save time for users, because they want to get on and off of projects a lot quickly. So it's 3/4 inch inlet and outlet, so you pretty common pipe size. And then there's a little window in the front, so you can determine if there's any clogs in the system. And I did get a question quite a few times if this is able to do antifreeze, and yes it is. But I wouldn't suggest any oils, any acidic liquids or anything like that for this. Alright. The press tool, which should not be a stranger to you guys. I just wanted to do a quick revisit on this unit because it has been recently redesigned. The unit before was a little bit longer, a lot cumbersome. So these tools naturally, because of the weight that the jaws add to the tool, they can be pretty heavy. But what we did was we redesigned the press tool. We made it shorter and we beefed up the motor in it. So now it has a brushless motor. It's not considered a fuel tool, but we did upgrade the motor to brushless. You can do 50,000 cycles on the 18-volt unit. The tool capacity, it can do up to 4 inch in copper, 1 inch in stainless steel, and 2 inches in the black iron. If a user does not have the need to go above an inch or 1 1/4 inch, we do have a smaller version on the 12-volt system as well. And that one's pretty unique because you can actually pivot the head and both units guarantee a 100% press. So if the tool for some reason does not have enough battery power in it to complete the press, it won't start. So there's a cool, we looked at it before with the transfer pump, but you can always check the life of the battery before you start your job. Because it's super frustrating to take this tool out, go into the job site, and then get to where you are and then realizing that you don't have enough power in your battery to even start the project. When we met back in January, I brought this tool out. This tool is only for crimping packs. The initial launch was for the Viega Pure Flow jars. So this tool was pretty much restricted to only work with those type of connections. We actually we added a newer tool into the M18 system. So now if a user does not have the Viega Pure Flow jars, we do make more standard packs crimping jars as well. So the tool is the same base, it's just the jars that are different, specific to whether it's like Zern or any other type of PEX V other than Viega. Whoops, I got that. I'll tell you to do the slides. That was the transfer pump. So if you guys have any questions. And then what you see on the screen is a more general PEX crimper versus the Viega Pure Flow. So once again, the only difference is the jars. So another tool ideal for residential, same capacity, 3/8 up to 1 inch. As you can see, everything runs on the same 18-volt battery. A lot more streamlined design. So we may see a trend in the field where users are going to start crimping packs. So if they have any questions, or does Milwaukee have any tools available or any solutions for that application, just let them know. Yes, we do, and just work with the user and figure out which connections that they'll be doing, whether it's on Viega system or another pack system. There. Okay, so now you guys did extremely well with our high torque impact wrenches. Milwaukee actually found an opportunity within our own line, so we had compact impact wrenches that would release on average like 220 foot-pounds, and then we had jumped way up to the more common, the high torque impact wrenches that release about 1,100 foot-pounds. Now we have one right in the middle, so this one falls right at 600 foot-pounds. We do have this in 2 different versions, so if a user changes their sockets frequently, and I'll let you guys get the advantage of being able to see the tools. If the user changes their sockets frequently, we have the friction ring model, which is the one that's here. If the user does not change their sockets frequently, we have a pin detent model. So the biggest difference is they would have to have something to stick into. There's going to be a slot on the actual socket, and then there's going to be a little pin in the anvil that they're going to have to push in to release the sockets as they change it out. But the high torque impact wrench, we actually sell more of the friction ring, only because users just want to pop the sockets on and off whenever they need to. So this kind of brings the merge between the compact as well as the high torque. So there's a couple features, cost info, and I can email the PowerPoint out. So if you guys are in the field or need costs available through your phone, you can have it. Alright, so now we're going to get into tracking devices. During our last session, I know we briefly discussed the one key fuel in the power tools, where it was in your common drills, impacts. I don't think we had a chance to look at the one key in the Sawzall. Personally, I think one key has the best position in the M18 fuel Sawzall model. So, for starters, one key has a couple of advantages. Does anybody know a few of them?
Speed control.
Speed control. Anything else?
Oh, look at that.
All-star John.
Right.
All-star John.
Do you want that too?
Say it again.
Automatic help with that.
Yeah.
Automatic out. What do you do? You mind going into details?
You can connect with somebody through your phone.
Yeah, well, you can connect through your own phone, right? So each of the tools, for instance, and we're going to specifically look at the Sawzall. So there's 4 modes in the Sawzall. I cannot tell you how often customers say, man, I'm just going through blades like crazy. So what users can do to pretty much protect the blades and how often they're using them, they can go into their phone and let's say that, I mentioned a second ago there's 4 modes. Let's say they want to cut wood. They can set mode 1 as general wood cutting. Through their phone, they will be able to set the strokes per minute, which is how fast the Sawzall's cutting. Because sometimes if you're cutting metal, the saw may bounce around too much. So this way you can actually control it so you can prolong the life of the tool as well as your blade. So it's a win-win. Another cool thing about the Sawzall is that, and this is a really unique safety feature, it has a cut brake. So I don't know how many times I've seen users on job sites cut any type of material, and once they're done, it'll swing back, and that blade could still be engaged. So you don't know if there's material, worst case a person, or anything behind you. So through your cell phone, you can engage a cut brake, which is a huge safety feature on job sites or in residential situations. So this is the one key Sawzall. Alright, so I do have yep, we're gonna look into this. So we actually have, did you guys get a chance to see these?
Yes.
Perfect. So if there's a user that does not have any interest or not as willing to pay the premium price for the one key system built into the tools, we have a universal tracking system, which is the tip that you guys are seeing right now. So the tip you can literally attach to any and everything. I get a lot of questions, can I attach to pets, people? Sure, why not? But ideally it's really designed to protect any large equipment. We did get a really successful situation up in New York where a contractor, he actually attached the tip to a job box. And instead of having each tool individually labeled, he tracked that entire job box. And he labeled it, okay, so in this box I'm going to have a drill, an impact, a Sawzall, and a press tool. So at the end of the project, he was able to do pretty much like a checklist or inventory search of what should have been in that box. It runs, so the one key system, it runs off of a free downloadable app. If there's any tools that I attach this tick to, I can put in as much information as possible. So if I attach this tick to a ladder, I can upload when I purchased it, the brand name, the serial number, who I assigned it to. So I can upload as much information as I need into my phone through my tick. If my ladder somehow ends up in California, Florida, wherever, in my phone, I'm going to flag it as missing. So at that point, anybody that has the one key app, whether it's in their phone through already having a tick or one key tool, I'm going to get a notification of your missing tool has been found. So I just wanted to clarify all that because I know we have a lot of literature floating around that just says 100-foot range. That 100-foot range kicks in once your tool goes missing. So anybody, regardless of where your tool is, it doesn't have to be within 100 feet of where you are, but wherever your tool or product ends up, you'll be able to get that email from somebody going within 100 feet.
But the tick still has to be on it, right?
Yes. Yep, and there's so many different ways to attach it. I mean, you can zip tie. Let's see if this gets into that. You can either zip tie it, which is not the most permanent way because anybody can walk by with the utility blade and chop it right off. zip tie. There's 2 little holes on the outside. You can screw it down. I'm always like to suggest one-way screws, or you can epoxy, so just glue it on to anything. And the idea is to attach this in a discrete location as possible. So if anybody is familiar with the tick and they notice that this item or this ladder is being tracked, they can, it'll be less obvious that it's a trackable item. So I'm going to be discreet. And these are just a couple of stats. And this is actually, this slide has not been updated, but earlier this year we've had over 100,000 downloads. So because the tracking equipment and this tracking devices aren't really, it's not really staying within our industry alone. So it'll be in electrical. There's so many different industries, HVAC, that are looking more for tracking devices. So this idea is only going to grow in popularity. So what that means is more customers are going to be looking for tracking devices for their items. So and then as a customer, that means it's going to have a better chance of your tool being tracked because more people are going to be keen to tracking devices and they're going to have more downloads. So this number is only going to grow.
Run over that. So let's say something gets stolen, a tool or a ladder or something like that, and even if it's just across town here, it's more than 100, you can track it up to 100 feet, correct? But if it goes outside that area, you just say, you put it in as lost now or stolen or whatever. Somebody else has only picked it up with their app, it'll give you a notification then,
Exactly.
and where that, they don't have to do that then, it automatically just does that.
Yep, it
As
will.
soon
You
as
get an automatic notification. So let's say you want to track this water bottle. You attach the tick to it. And you go to a project down in Baltimore. You leave Baltimore and come back up to York. Even if I don't know that I'm in the vicinity of your stolen water bottle and I have the app on my phone, I can walk by, drive by. As long as I come within 100 feet of your stolen water bottle, you're going to get an email. And once you get the email, it's going to show you a link. You click on the link and it's going to open up a map pretty similar to how your GPS functions. You can either look at it in a satellite version, so it's going to show, instead of like the actual tree, it'll show green. Or you can see the actual tree. So you can customize if you want to show which building it's in, or if it's, how the maps will be all gray knowing that it's buildings. So you can, and of course you would probably want to put it in so that whatever you see is actual buildings, trees, roads, streets. So, did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any other questions on tick tracking? So that's the tick. If you have any customers that want to sample, if they want to test out anything, let me know. But if they specifically want to try the tick before they download it and get you involved into the system, just let me know and I can work with our channel team to get you guys samples. And you guys do have these in stock. I know the outside guys have them doing demos. And this is just general pricing. It's kind of maybe a little difficult to read, but 1 pack is 30, a 4-pack is 100, and then of course the more you buy, the less per tick that you pay. So we have a 10-pack for $219 and a 50-pack for $1,000. All right. So I do have. I'll just leave this up so they don't have to see that. All right, and there are a couple tools that I that also revisits that you may have already seen. We're gonna take a look at this. So continuing on with the one key ad. So this is our brightest light. This is the only light that carries the one key function. So the cool thing about this is we already discussed me being able to track it. I can actually control this light from my cell phone. So don't look directly at it because I'm not sure the mode.
White House.
Look right there.
It's pretty bright. I get a lot of people when they play around with the lights, they look at it when they turn it on. Alright, so I can, as you can see, I can control the light from my cell phone. I can adjust the brightness. This one's pretty cool. This is actually one of my favorite lights. You can actually control if you want a full 360 or if you want the front half or back half lit. This tool can actually, this light, you can actually plug the light up and plug something into the light as well. So you can string up to 10 of these together if you need to. And they can hang upside down as well. If you prefer to plug it in instead of using a battery source for the power, through the phone you can actually have an alarm set on this. So if you want this to go on at 6 a.m. every day and cut off at 12 for lunch and then cut right back on, you can preset that through your phone. But that option is only available if it's plugged in. And as you can see, this is one of the M18 radius lights. So it'll take any M18 battery. Questions as far as runtime. On a normal 5 amp hour battery, which we package in with most of our combo kits, our fuel combo kits, you can get 8 hours of runtime. With this 9 amp hour battery, it literally doubles the runtime of this light. So this light can cover two full shifts, so 16 hours of runtime on a 9 amp hour battery. And since we're looking at the 9 amp, let's see if you guys, and I do have literature available. So the 9 amp hour battery, has anyone ever had any customers that say, my tools just do not last long anymore, or they don't trust cordless tools because they're concerned about the runtime? Yep. So the cool thing about the 9 amp hour battery is that the biggest thing is that it's compatible with our existing M18 tools and chargers. So all they would have to do is just add this into the system. And once again, this pretty much doubles the runtime of your 5 amp hour battery. And I put this in dollar perspective. You can either buy, so a single 5 amp hour battery costs $130. If you buy 2 of those batteries, you're at $260. This battery, because it equates to 2 5 amp hour batteries as far as runtime, is $200. So the good thing about this is instead of selling customers 2 additional batteries, you can sell them 1 9 amp hour battery and save them $60. And it is, once again, it is compatible with tools, batteries, pretty much anything already existing on the M18 system. And then just to continue on with lights. This is also a pretty popular light. The unique thing about this is you probably have already seen this, the Milwaukee stand light. This is the newer version, so this one's actually brighter, and I didn't mention lumens. This one's the brightest light at 4400 lumens on high. This is the brightest stand light at 3000 lumens on high. The previous version is 2000. So this is the brightest stand light and the brightest area light. This can extend from 4 to 7 feet in a matter of a couple seconds. Damage the ceiling or anything. And it does run off the 18 volt system. The cool thing is this is the only light where if you have a battery in it and it's plugged in, it will charge the battery. So it's like a dual purpose light. I'm not sure if I'm just going to remind you guys that not all lights come with batteries, but be on the lookout for occasional promotions where we do pack-in lights with, pack-in batteries with lights. This one also has a unique feature of being able to pivot in any direction. The previous model didn't have that ability. Anybody have any questions on lighting? Alright, and I guess we'll get into the final category. So I didn't bring any hand tools except for this one. So this is actually considered a hand tool. Does anybody know the warranty that hand tools carry?
Lifetime.
Lifetime warranty. Can you imagine introducing this to your customer saying it's covered for life? I mean, that feature alone would sell me on this bag. This is actually one of the smaller versions of our storage bag. This is 18 inches. We have one larger that is 24 inches. The weight that this bag can hold is 200 pounds. The larger model can hold 250 pounds. Pretty similar to how we design most of our tech bags and our backpacks. Tons of pockets. I actually can lock the lid up. So it makes it easier when you guys on job sites to go in and out of it. Just a little Velcro back in the back of it. Just want to see, let you guys see all the different pockets. And for somebody that has OCD like I do, I would make sure each tool has a slot so you can have all your screwdrivers. You can see the inside of it. There's tons of space for any power tools, any laptop. It's actually a little padded pouch here. So if any smaller electronics, you guys can come. You have the luxury again of coming up and checking it out. The wheels, I hosted a sales event back in Maryland, and the parking lot wasn't paved at all. It was a bunch of rocks. I had no problem dragging this right into the meeting versus other guys that were using carts and everything. I mean, they were literally just bouncing all over the place. So I was able to wheel in, and that probably was one of the only shows I have the advantage of loading up for a show. So I normally have to carry each individual tool, whether it's, you know, a over-the-shoulder bag. But this made it so much easier for me to take any and everything. I mean, from blades to power tools right into the meeting. So, and I think that pretty much sums up everything that I had. There's literature behind you on lights. The one key saws are a couple tools that we went over today. But if you have any questions on anything that I did not speak on, feel free.
What's the cost on that bag?
I can pull that up. So right now this is the end, but I have my laptop loaded.
I was looking at a Lowe's flyer. Milwaukee makes weed whackers now,
We do.
and it said $299 for it.
Yeah, it's on the fuel system, and keep in mind that costs, when you see tools priced at that level, it comes with a $200 battery. So that pretty much, you're pretty much buying a battery and the charger and getting the tool free. Or however you want to look at it, buying the tool and getting the battery free. And there's promotions, there's quarterly promotions. If you buy, I think one
It's
of
a
the
promo
options.
now. If you bought that, you could get a free hedge trimmer with it too,
Yeah.
or a blower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah,
Jeff
Jeff
sold
sold
one.
one.
Yeah. Hedge trimmer and a weed whacker.
Now I'm trying.
Don't give him any credit.
Yeah, and I'm shocked at how many hits we've been, because I call only on plumbing and electrical. And I've been getting a lot of requests.
Couple prices
Hey,
for you.
can I get the weed whacker? I'm
Automatic,
like,
yeah,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
People be interested, but
Well, it's usually buying them for their personal.
yeah.
You don't got lawnmowers yet, do you?
No. That could be in the June launch, and I haven't seen anything
I
yet.
think
I've
what
seen company cars.
Just put like 12 of those.
Yeah.
yeah, batteries.
Yeah. Car no average.
Milwaukee smart car.
Yeah. But I mean, when we first really got into cordless tools, we were saying, all right, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And now the demand for so many other battery operated anything, any products is so high. It's like, well, we already mastered the batteries. Why not transfer that technology into other tools? All right, let's check out the.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Thank you,
They
Taneeka.
should have,
Yes,
I wonder if
thank
they're
you.
like,
If there's any other questions,
Don't forget your other tool
feel
here.
free to check out the literature that I have on the side.